So, Yae Miko, were you worth the Primos?
Alright, amuse me.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. It's your Slime King, the Jima Man, and welcome to another video. Let's not beat around the bush. Yae Miko was worth every bit of my Primos, but I'll get into why she's probably not worth it for you. And in order to understand that, we must analyze Yae's kit a little closer. I would just like to clarify that everything after this will be in the context of building teams around maximizing C0 Yae's potential, because if you don't maximize it, other options like C6 Fischl will just be better. First, let's talk about her strengths. Yae Miko has very good off-field damage in Seisho Sakura. Her burst deals a massive multiplier of damage in 4 separate instances. She generates an electro particle every third hit of her E. While that is not the best energy generation, it is quite decent. On paper, her kit being mainly centered on being a burst DPS while enabling electro reactions with her E gives her the potential to be slotted into many teams. The theory, when you first look at her kit, is that she is basically a bare Fischl, and Fischl is already a broken unit. However, in practice, many problems arise. Now is a good time to look at her weaknesses. The most glaring offender here is her on-field time. This is a problem similar to Kazuha's, where Kazuha wants to E, then plunge, then Q, which takes around 4 seconds of on-field time. Most teams that run Kazuha often neglect the E in favor of just casting Q because the VV buff lasts for only 10 seconds and his own buff lasts only for 8. If you do his preferred rotation, then the buffs won't be maximized where you need them. Yae Miko's E's take around 2 to 3 seconds to cast, and then when you burst, the turrets will get destroyed, thus you have to cast them again. And you see where the conundrum begins to rear its ugly head. Under Bennett's and Kazuha's buff, some of your characters like Raiden will not get the entirety of those buffs if you cast Yae's skill after her burst. Last thing to note on her skill is that when casting it, you will easily get staggered as there is no way to dodge an attack as you are casting the skill, therefore extending her on-field time even more. Her other weakness is her 90 cost burst and 22 second cooldown. These two things prevent her from truly becoming the main source of damage for your team. This means that another electro unit is a prerequisite in order to make her burst off cooldown. Her burst is a huge portion of her damage, and if one wants to maximize the entirety of her kit and damage uptime, you need to be bursting every rotation. If not, then it doesn't make sense to build teams around her if you are not even going to burst every rotation. That 22 second cooldown is another huge killer to this entire Fox equation. Her burst is used instantaneously. This means you would have to wait an entire 22 seconds before you could use it again. That's good, right? She has a high burst cost, so now you have ample time to fill it up again by 20 seconds. In theory, yes. Give characters in your team that deal damage in that time, then it becomes a good thing. But the problem with most teams right now is that they can't afford to slot in Yae and feed her enough particles to burst every rotation. Only Raiden and Fischl teams can truly take advantage of this. And in conclusion to this, it is now worth building teams solely around Yae's burst and nothing else. All of this stems from the fact that her kit seems so confused and counterintuitive. She wants to be an off-field DPS that can provide a huge front-loaded burst every 22 seconds. However, in practice, she takes too much on-field time for that to work, and her 90 cost makes it almost impossible to do that unless you run double, triple, or mono electro teams. There aren't many teams out there that fulfill that criteria as of the moment. So, what does this mean then? It means that a C0 Yae should not be bursting every rotation. It is very obvious what Hoyoverse is trying to do here. If you want to play her as I stated, then pull for her cons, which I do not recommend. However, at C0 Yae, she could either be an on-field taser or overload enabler and just bursting anytime it's up. Or she could be an electro charge enabler that provides good off-field damage and burst every other rotation. In that sense, she is very similar to Beidou, except with a better passive economy of energy and better for single target situations. Look, I've spent majority of this video talking about her weaknesses. Don't get me wrong, her strengths are really good, but her kit is rather simple, and it is important to note the drawbacks of using her, especially if you are on the Kitsune fence about pulling her. Let's look at a team she truly excels at. Yae Miko, Fischl, Kazuha, and Kokomi. This team is basically a variation of Kokomi Taser, but instead of Beidou, you use Yae Miko. It works because Yae is equipped with Hakushin Ring that provides buffs to the entire team. She has 170 ER, allowing her to almost burst every rotation, and Kokomi during her burst fills in a huge portion of the Yae burst downtime. And Kokomi also has TTDS, which can be freely used to either buff Yae when her burst is up, or Fischl depending on the situation. This team perfectly encapsulates the type of team that Yae truly thrives in. Determining whether or not it is better for Yae to burst every rotation versus every other rotation is a whole other topic that is beyond the scope of this video. But what I can tell you is that if you keep in mind that Yae doesn't need to burst every rotation, her potential in teams increases greatly because of the fact that you don't have to worry about energy as much, and in those teams, Yae will most probably be not the one dealing majority of the damage. At the end of the day, we need to detach our expectations of what Yae Miko should be and start looking at what she truly is. The moment I started thinking that she did not need to burst every rotation was the moment her team started opening up. In essence, she provides most of the same things that Fischl does. However, she has the potential to become a larger portion of a team's DPS as compared to our Prinzessin. And then, you can also throw in that Yae can be run with Fischl, which provides constant off-field damage that can be made use of by an on-field Hydro unit like Kokomi or Child, or with Sincho and a normal attacking on-field character, or even Overload to an extent, though I don't particularly recommend going Overload as its internal cooldown makes it unreliable to be the main point of a team. It's merely a bonus. Her role then in a team isn't that of the main source of DPS, but is an off-field one that has an insane front-loaded burst. Then what separates her from Fischl? While Fischl excels in constant poke damage, Yae Miko has that same poke damage but with the option to burst down an enemy easily with the right combos. In that sense, Yae actually has more versatility. Yae Miko was worth it for me because she is like another Fischl, and to be honest, Fischl is really good. And I like Yae, and she is an off-field electro applicator, and that means her use in the future for me will not diminish. But if you were expecting a character that deals a lot of damage for your team, similar to what a hyper carry can provide but off-field, then I will tell you that is not C0 Yae, and she is not worth your primos. One last thing, Yae's electro application is good. However, C6 Fischl still has better electro application because Oz applies it and her C6 does as well. It is a minor thing as this only really impacts Thundering Fury Kazuha teams, which I think only this Slime King uses nowadays. So, tell me what you think about Yae Miko down in the comments below. Was she what you expected? I'm curious to know. Or better yet, come at me at twitch.tv/DojimaMan where I stream Genshin almost every day. This is our parting. Farewell.